Howdy everyone, it's Sam. I hope you're doing really well. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. We are now into week 13 of the NFL season, and I'm not doing too bad considering how unbelievably unpredictable this year has been. I am into the hundreds. I've gotten 100. I have correctly tipped 108 games out of a possible 172, which gives me 63.5% on season 2022. And again, considering how wild it's been, I'll take that every single day. Now, coming up to week 13, things get real. We're in December. There's only a handful, 5 weeks left or 6 weeks left of the season, and this is where finals come a little bit early in the NFL. And some of the matches that are ahead of us this weekend, oh man, let's rock and roll, dude. Let's get into the tips for week 13. Thursday night football, or Friday morning football here in Australia, is from Gillette Stadium. We kick off the weekend with a rivalry game. The New England Patriots are hosting the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are the favourites at $1.49, and the Patriots are $2.63 outsiders. The Bills are going to be without defensive superstar Von Miller in this contest. The Patriots, they're not in too bad a form, and considering that this is a rivalry game, you do chuck out form, and it's just that the last man standing wins. I do want to tip Buffalo, and I'm going to, but oh man, their Super Bowl credentials, man. I'm still gonna back them, but like, they're looking so shaky at the moment. I'm going to tip the Buffalo Bills to win this one in a thriller, 1-13. In a beauty, we are off to US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Vikings host the New York Jets. The Vikings are $1.63 to the New York Jets, $2.30. Mike White coming in for Zach Wilson at quarterback, and boy howdy, didn't he make a difference. They had a really good win against Chicago last week, did the New York Jets. And the Vikings, I think they're starting to get a little bit found out, man. They might have had too easier of a run, they might be getting found out. Now they're coming up against the New York Jets, whose defense has been really good, and whenever the Vikings seem to take on a really good defensive side, they usually look like they get the shakes. I really want to tip the New York Jets at $2.30, but they are a couple of players down. Vikings are not doing too bad in the injury department, so I'm going to tip the Vikings in this game 1-13. Don't be surprised if the Jets win, and if they do win at $2.30, I'll be kicking myself. M&T Bank Stadium out there at Baltimore, Maryland is the next venue for our next matchup. The Ravens host the Broncos. The Ravens are $1.23 favorites. The Broncos are $4.20 outsiders. The Broncos have no team. They have no offense. Their defense is not too bad, but they get let down way too often. The Baltimore Ravens are a funny bunch, man. Fair income. They went down to the Jacksonville Jaguars by 1 point last weekend, right on the buzzer. And everybody's been sort of identifying the Ravens as having a potentially easy run. Well, considering their form and considering the unpredictability of this year, it's no run is going to be an easy run for the rest of the season. So I'm going to tip the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. Do I want to go 13 plus? Bugger it. I will. I'll go 13 plus Baltimore Ravens. Next matchup is from Mercedes-Benz Superdome in Atlanta, Georgia. The Falcons are hosting the Steelers, and the Falcons, the home side, are $1.96 outsiders. The Steelers are $1.85 favorites. Pittsburgh Steelers getting the dub in Indianapolis, in front of their home fans at Pittsburgh, and the Atlanta Falcons They went down in a close game against the Washington Commanders. It's getting to the crunch time for both of these sides. They're still flickering so far as their playoff aspirations go, but it's almost sudden death, this match, in my opinion. Maybe a week too early to say something like that, but it's getting really close for both of these sides. Pittsburgh, they might be the team in better form. Falcons, I think they are injury prone. The Steelers, yeah, don't know, man. This is a really, really hard game to tip, and I'm going to tip the Atlanta Falcons simply because they're the home side, but being the outsiders as well at $1.96. I think this is going to be a really good game. Kenny Pickett, the quarterback for the Steelers, though, could cause some real damage. But I'm just going to go for an upset here, I guess, by the booking market. The Atlanta Falcons to win this one against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Atlanta. Then we're off to Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. The Detroit Lions host the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Lions are $2.08 outsiders, and the Jaguars are $1.75 favorites coming into the game. I have no idea why the Jacksonville Jaguars would be considered as favorites coming into the game. I have no earthly idea. But the Jaguars, they got the dub last week. Against the Buffalo Bills. The Detroit Lions took them all the way to the edge, but couldn't get the Chockies against the Bills. The Lions looked really good in defeat last weekend. Dude, in front of their home fans at $2.08. Come on, you Detroit Lions. And if they win, I think they go to something like 5-7, and they'd be well and truly in wild card playoff contention then. So come on, you Detroit Lions, man. You're still in it with a good shot. In a weekend where there's multiple games of the round, this arguably is the game of the round. Philadelphia Eagles host the Tennessee Titans. The Eagles are $1.43 favorites. The Titans are $2.87. I think back a few weeks ago to the game the Titans had against Kansas City in Kansas City, and they took them all the way to the edge, man. And that's the game that really identified themselves or proved themselves that they're no joke and that they are fair dinkum. And you don't want to take the Tennessee Titans lightly. The Philadelphia Eagles, man, they just hit that mid-season form slump at the moment, much like the Buffalo Bills. Jalen Hurts is definitely in MVP conversation. If he's not first, he's without a doubt second in my opinion. Meanwhile, the Tennessee Titans, man, Derrick Henry, I think they did some wacky old stuff with Derrick Henry last weekend in their loss against the Cincinnati Bengals. So this is going to be a really, really close game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans win, but considering this is in Philadelphia, I'm going to tip the Philadelphia Eagles in what should be a beauty this weekend. And at the start of the year, it didn't matter where these two sides were going to come on the ladder by and large. This is going to be one of the games of the season. It is the Houston Texans versus the Cleveland Browns from Houston, Texas. The Texans are $3.73 outsiders. The Browns are $1.28 favorites. It's time. It's time. It's Deshaun Watson time. He's earmarked to come back in. I don't know, he could be laid off for another week. I'm not too sure. We'll see what happens, man. But considering the amount of money the Browns did pay for Deshaun Watson, get him out on the paddock. The Browns are in pretty all right touch. They had a win against the Cincinnati Bengals. They were involved in a tight tussle against the Miami Dolphins recently. And then they defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last weekend in overtime in a beauty. Meanwhile, the Texans, man, for all their starchness over the opening 6 weeks of the season, they are definitely falling. They are definitely falling into the category of worst team in the NFL. And by and large, I think they're going to be the Wooden Spooners and first draft pick champions for 2023. So I'm going to tip the Cleveland Browns to win this one 1-12. Don't be surprised if the Houston Texans give them a scare, though, considering Deshaun Watson did wonderful, wonderful things out there at Houston, Texas, over the past couple of years. So I'm going to tip the Cleveland Browns to win this one 1-12. In an NFC East battle, it is the New York Giants versus the Washington Commanders from MetLife Stadium, and the home side are $2.13 outsiders, and the Commanders are $1.72 favorites. oh man, for a few years, over the course of the past 6 years, you've looked at this matchup and gone, yuck, yuck. This looks like the worst sort of bloody game to sit down and watch. Now, this is a battle between two divisional rivals who are right in the thick of it as so far as wildcard contention goes. The winner of this is going to put a lot of pressure onto the Dallas Cowboys, who are leading the NFC East division, the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles as well. Philadelphia Eagles, are leading that division, with the Dallas Cowboys having a great win-loss record as well. This is a massive game, man. This is almost like sudden death, come about 5 or 6 weeks early. But yeah, this is no joke, dude. So I'm going to tip the Washington Commanders. I don't know what it is about them, but ever since I've started doing these NFL tips over the past couple of seasons, it's not like I have a soft spot for them, but I like what I see from them on a weekly basis. Yes, they were putrid to start the year, this year, but boy howdy, they've changed it around dramatically. And they can very much easily win this game. But once more, this is a rivalry game, and you throw out forms. So the Giants could very well pull off the upset here, and they've definitely got the shakes as well, by comparison to how they started the year this year. So I'm going to tip the Washington Commanders to win this game, 1-13. Sorry. Speaking of rivalry games, this is the biggest, oldest rivalry in the NFL. The Chicago Bears are going to host the Green Bay Packers out there at Soldier Field, and the Bears are $2.56 outsiders. The Packers are $1.51 favorites. Even though Aaron Rodgers has sustained a rib injury, something to do around that area. Justin Fields, though, he could be in line for a return, or he could play this weekend. There's just a few question marks on the Green Bay Packers team list, in particularly Aaron Rodgers, that it's really making me hesitate in tipping the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to tip them, but if Justin Fields plays this weekend, man, it's gonna give Chicago Bears a massive leg up, and I imagine that the betting would come in a lot if Aaron Rodgers does not play and Justin Fields does. So, but in any event, right now, how it stands, Green Bay Packers are going to win this one 1-12. Another divisional rivalry game is at hand. The Los Angeles Rams are hosting the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seattle Seahawks are $1.26 favorites, and the Rams are $3.90 outsiders. This bloody trip to Germany is proving to be a bit of a nuisance in the season of the Seattle Seahawks. The boys travelled over and lost to Tampa Bay in a close game. Eventually it was a close game. And then last weekend in overtime, of all the freaking teams, the Las Vegas Raiders won in overtime because Josh Jacobs had been eating nothing but raw meat for a week leading up to that game, and he just ran absolutely riot against the Seattle Seahawks. So, man, the defense, man, was arguably the worst performance of the season. I mean, credit to the Las Vegas Raiders, but yeah, no, 40 points against the Seattle Seahawks, as that hasn't happened too often this year or in recent times, or this year anyway. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Rams, it's all gone to hell in a handbasket, man. There's no Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford is out. I think he will be again this weekend. If not, good stuff. But I think they're going to be dealing with a third-string quarterback as well. The champions, man, that it's arguably the leanest. It is the worst title defense in recent times. Thanks, Los Angeles Rams, eh? So Seattle Seahawks, they are familiar with SoFi Stadium and their surroundings. So I'm going to tip the Seattle Seahawks to win this game 1-12. In this game from Levi's Stadium is going to be an absolute beauty. San Francisco 49ers are hosting the Miami Dolphins. The 49ers are $1.49 favorites, and the Dolphins are $2.65 outsiders. This is the game that is going to pit defense up against attack. The defense of the San Francisco 49ers up against the attack of the Dolphins. The 49ers have only allowed about 24 points or under in the second halves over the past month or 5 weeks or so. Their defense is right on point. And meanwhile, the Dolphins attack, look, I think they could have won by a little bit more last week against the Houston Texans. They were up about, I think it was 20 or 27 points to 3 or 27-0 at one stage or something to that effect. And I think they really could have put their foot on the gas a little bit more in that second half, but they only scored the field goal or the one touchdown in that second half. So I guess they're just saving their best until finals come about anyway. This is so hard to pick. It is so hard to pick, but I'm actually going to tip the Dolphins, the outsiders, at $2.65. I know that the 49ers defense is nothing to be trifled with, but the Dolphins are a little bit fresher. They're a little bit more full in the team list. The San Francisco 49ers are dealing with just a handful of injuries at the moment, man, and they only won 13-0. Yes, they shut out the Saints, but they only scored 13 points themselves. So if the Dolphins can starch up and have a really good game defensively, the attack is going to come naturally. And I'm going to tip the Miami Dolphins to win this one 1-12 in what will be an absolute cracker. Then we travel out to Bermuda freaking Triangle. Allegiant Stadium. Las Vegas Raiders are hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. The Raiders are $2.06 outsiders. The Chargers are $1.77 favorites. And holy crap, the Raiders season is still flickering just because they got the dub against the Seattle Seahawks in overtime last weekend. Meanwhile, the Chargers went to Arizona and took care of business down there by the 1 point though, but they did get the dub last weekend. Last time, well, not the last time these two sides met, but if you recall, these two sides met in the final week of the regular season last year, went down to overtime, and it was the Las Vegas Raiders that won by field goal. This is going to be another thriller, man. The Chargers are not the Chargers are dealing with a handful of injuries themselves. They're not at full strength. Las Vegas Raiders, off the form of Josh Jacobs, man, who has been doing that on a rather consistent basis. He has a massive case to make that he has been the best player for the Las Vegas outfit this season. Man, I don't want to, because I know that if I tip the Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to bottle it. I know that they're going to bugger it. But then again, they're going up against a team that is famous for absolutely buggering it themselves in the Los Angeles Chargers. But again, you look at the price on the Raiders, the home side at $2.06 outsiders, in the form of Josh Jacobs, and the way that Derek Carr, I don't know if you guys saw his press conference a few weeks ago. Holy crap, I haven't seen an emotional press conference like that in a really, really long time in any sport, in any code, bro. I'm going to tip the Las Vegas Raiders to win this one in a thriller, 1-12. Heaven help me, god damn. Paul Brown Stadium is the next venue. Cincinnati Bengals are hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, and the home side again are the outsiders at $2.10, and the Chiefs are $1.74 favorites. These two sides bet last year, and the Bengals, when they did beat the Chiefs at Paul Brown Stadium, they won the AFC North Championship. They won their division that day, and then they met each other again in the championship game, in the AFC championship game. And it was the Cincinnati Bengals that traveled to Kansas City and got the dub. So Bengals, man, they know how to win, but I think there's going to be a massive bee in the bonnet of Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the Kansas City Chiefs outfit. I'm going to tip the Chiefs. I know that the Bengals, they're coming, but they're still missing the likes of Chase and Mixon as well. They could be back this weekend, but just at the moment, that's what they're out with at the moment. So I'm going to tip the Kansas City Chiefs. This should be, this is another game of the round contender. This is going to be a beauty as well. So I'm going to tip the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game 1-12. AT&T Stadium is the next stadium we're off to. It is the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Indianapolis Colts. The Cowboys are $1.17 favorites. The Colts are $5.10 outsiders. I'll just say this, the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl hopes are very high. I'm pretty high on the Dallas Cowboys this season. They're going to go hugely close. I think they could even appear in the NFC Championship game when the time comes around. Spit it out, Sam. And they could feature in a Super Bowl for the first time in many a year. So Dallas Cowboys, they're going to win this one 13+. And to wrap up a massive week of NFL, we're off to Raymond James Stadium. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hosting the New Orleans Saints, and the Buccaneers are $1.52 favorites. The Saints are $2.54 outsiders. The New Orleans Saints have had the Buccaneers number for many years, but the Buccaneers did beat the Saints earlier this season. But the Buccaneers, they went down to the Browns last weekend. The Saints, they lost 13-0 to the 49ers. This might be a bit of an ordinary game, to be honest with you. And if there's one team that can knock off Tampa Bay, it is the New Orleans Saints, but I cannot trust them. They are another one of these teams, much like the Las Vegas Raiders. I haven't been able to get a handle of for the past 18 months or so, the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to tip the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this one, 1-12. Yo, that's it for me this weekend. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for the continual support. Hope your team wins this weekend, except for the Los Angeles Rams. And expect some more content from me over the next couple of days. Thanks, guys. Adios.